See? Take them. We have a quorum, Mr. President.
I've been informed by the clerk that a quorum is present. At this time, I would ask that all councilors and guests to please rise, as I will ask Councilor Flaherty to come to the podium to introduce today's clergy. After the invocation is delivered, I would ask all members and guests to remain standing as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilor Flaherty.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have the privilege on behalf of all of our colleagues here to inviting and welcoming Reverend Laura A. Hart, who's the pastor of the United Baptist Church in Jamaica Plain, where she has served since 2008. She got her start at Bishop Borders Church many years ago. Her experience includes a great deal of work with prison ministry and volunteer service at the Mass Correctional Institute in Framingham, as well as the assigned chaplain for Nashua Street County Jail. In 2001, Reverend A. Hart was appointed chaplain of Nashua Street, where she's been a spiritual mentor to hundreds of inmates and their families. Her commitment to prisoner rehabilitation has been truly life-changing and remains an important part of her everyday life. In addition to her pastoral leadership in chaplaincy, Reverend A. Hart has been active in Dimmock Center's UMAS House for Women with HIV and AIDS, also Rosie's Place for the Homeless Shelter for Women, and currently she chairs the Criminal Justice Committee for the Black Ministerial Alliance. She also has coordinated worship service and Bible study at the former Long Island Shelter. Reverend A. Hart has given so much of her to the community. We're grateful to have her with us today, so please draw your attention and welcome Reverend Laura A. Hart to deliver today's invocation.
Good morning.
Good morning.
There's a scripture in the book of Hosea that says that without a vision, the people perish. And so I want to applaud each and every one of you that with the vision that has been presented before you, that you allow the wisdom of God to take you through. Because the city is in a turmoil, but it's not in a turmoil because there's healing needed. And so you're at the appointed time, and that God, I pray that God would use you effectively in all your decision making. And then if we were in church, we say amen.
Amen.
Let's bow our heads for a word of prayer. Most gracious and eternal God, we come before you this morning, first of all, to say thank you. Thank you for coming together and with one like minds and hearts to deal with the conditions of the city and this community and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I applaud these men and women that have come today, that will pour out their hearts and give what they can give. And when they know how to fall back, God, let them know it's okay to fall back and get rest. So rest on this session this morning. Rest on Councilman Flaherty. Give him the wisdom and understanding, and let the vision that you've given him not go in vain. Keep us as we talk. Keep us as we pray. Keep us as we go back to our individual lives. But most of all, we thank you that your hands upon this community. We thank you that you love this community, but most of all, you love the people. And healing is in need, and healing it will be. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Laura A. Hart, for your inspiring message. Councilor Flaherty will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the
Republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty for all. Thank you, Councilor Flaherty, and thank you, Reverend A. Hart. If there are no corrections to be made to the minutes of last meeting, they'll stand approved. Seeing and hearing no objections, the minutes are so approved. Madam Clerk, reports of public officers and others. Yeah, please recognize Councilor Jackson and Councilor Presley as here and present.
Thank you, Mr. President. Docket number 0615, notice is received from the city clerk in accordance with Chapter 6 of the ordinances of 1979 regarding actions taken by the mayor on papers acted upon by the city council at its meeting of February 11th, 2015.
Could you read all the way through 0621, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. Docket number 0616, notice is received from the city clerk in accordance with Chapter 6 of the ordinances of 1979 regarding actions taken by the mayor on papers acted upon by the city council at its meeting of February 25th, 2015. Docket number 0617, notice is received from the city clerk in accordance with Chapter 6 of the ordinances of 1979 regarding actions taken by the mayor on papers acted upon by the city council at its meeting of March 4th, 2015. Docket number 0618, notice was received from the city clerk in accordance with Chapter 6 of the ordinances of 1979 regarding action taken by the mayor on papers acted upon by the city council at its meeting of March 11th, 2015. Docket number 0619, notice was received from the mayor of the appointment of Craig Galvin as a member of the Boston Scholarship Fund Committee for a term expiring March 23rd, 2018. Docket number 0620, communication was received from the mayor regarding his absence from the city from March 26th until March 29th, 2015. And docket number 0621, communication was received from Hu Nguyen, MD, Interim Executive Director and Medical Director of the Boston Public Health Commission, presenting the 2014-2015 annual assessment of the health of Boston residents.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Dockets 0615 and through docket 0621 will be placed on file. Madam Clerk, reports of committees.
Docket number 0495, the Committee on City and Neighborhood Services and Veterans Affairs, to which was referred on March 11th, 2015, docket number 0495, message and order authorizing the City of Boston's Transportation Department to accept and expend a grant from the Massachusetts Department of Transportation, known as MassDOT, in an amount not to exceed $3,159,403 to fund a majority of the Phase 1 design and engineering services for the Rutherford Avenue Improvement Project, submits a report recommending the order ought to pass.
Chair recognizes the Chair of the Committee on City, Neighborhood Services, and Veterans Affairs, Councilor McCarthy, on docket 0495.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We had our hearing on Tuesday, March 24th. The Boston Transportation Department was represented by Vineet Gupta. I was joined by Councilor Murphy and Councilor LaMartina. It's in Councilor LaMartina's district. As the clerk had read, it's $3.16 million the Transportation Department will be taking from MassDOT to refigure the Rutherford Ave improvement project. This is phase 1 of that project. We insisted through Councilor LaMartina's work that Sullivan Square, as well as the North Washington Street Bridge, be included in these phases. And at this point in time, I would like to have this pass.
Thank you, Councilor McCarthy. Councilor McCarthy moves acceptance of the committee report and passage of docket 0495. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket 0495 has passed. Madam Clerk, matters recently heard for possible action.
Docket number 0410, order for hearing regarding snow operations and removal in the city of Boston.
Chair recognizes the Chair of the Committee on City and Neighborhood Services and Veterans Affairs, Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you very much, Thank you very much, Mr. President. 0410 was snow operations and snow removal. As many of you know, we had a bad winter. So we had a great hearing, to be honest with you. Several departments were here, including Boston Transportation Department, Boston Public Works, their budget department. There was a lot of great ideas that were thrown out on the table, some outside the box and some off the wall. And we decided that because there were so many moving parts, we'd like to have Boston Public Works has agreed to have a team back and a debrief within their own department, what they did well, what they need to work on, what equipment they need, what men and women they need in the future, get that budget together. And then we'd like to have a working session and keep that in committee so everybody can join in with their ideas and break this down. So the next snow season, we're better prepared.
Thank you, Councilor McCarthy, and that was remanded to both the Committee on Neighborhood Services as well as Ways and Means. Councilor Siomo?
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank the co-sponsor, Tim McCarthy, for his well-run hearing. We shared a lot of ideas. It was a great dialogue between Public Works, BTD, and all the other departments that went into all our efforts this winter to keep the city moving. And I look forward to the working sessions. I think there was many great ideas. We talked about bobcats, as being part of our arsenal, and more blowers, and how we fund those, and do they make sense? It's about getting to a more efficient removal process going forward. So I want to applaud the chair on a great hearing, and look forward to the working sessions in the coming months. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Siomo. Docket 0410 will remain in the Committee on City Neighborhood Services and Veterans Affairs and in the Ways and Means Committee. Madam Clerk, docket 0171, please.
Docket number 0171, communication was received from the city clerk of the filing by the auditing department regarding the City of Boston's fiscal 2014 comprehensive annual financial report.
Chair recognizes the Chair of the Committee on Post Audit and Oversight, Councilor Yancey, on docket 0171.
Mr. President, can we also read 0199 into the record?
Absolutely. Madam Clerk, would you read 0199, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. Docket number 0199, order for a hearing to review the fiscal year 2015.
Councilor Yancey, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Madam Clerk. First of all, I want to say how proud I was to hear our mayor represent us at the opening of the Edward M. Kennedy Institute for the United States Senate. He's working very hard and doing a great job representing us. Mr. President, I mention that because I think he would be disappointed to learn that several of his department heads were no-shows at post-audit hearings. And I know that the administration is very busy preparing the fiscal year 2016 budget, which will be presented to us very, very shortly. I understand, I appreciate that. All of you know how many years I've spent here and how many budgets I've had the opportunity to review. So I'm somewhat familiar with the preparation process, and prior to becoming a member of this body, I prepared budgets for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the Executive Office of Communities and Development, going back to the 1970s. So I'm not unaware about the difficulty of preparing these budgets. However, Mr. President, you in your wisdom decided to appoint me chair of the Post Audit and Oversight Committee. And I appreciate your wisdom in that respect.
Thank you.
However, it has not been an easy job, Mr. President.
I understand.
One of the tasks we face as a body is to serve as a check and balance on the administration and to review the actual operation of government, not just the financial operation, but the extent to which the administration complies with its commitments made to the people of Boston through the City Council, through the budgetary process, through the Boston About results, where we look at key performance indicators, as well as looking at the actual expenditures versus what we appropriated, and look at other aspects of city government in terms of contracts and personnel. Mr. President, I'm doing the best I can, but it's very difficult to do this when with some department heads failing to participate. And we provided notices to the 6 department heads back on March 5th of 2015. We indicated the areas of examination we're looking at. And prior to submittal of the order for the hearing, each department heads in their departments agreed to participate. However, after the orders were filed, there were efforts made by the administration to postpone each and every one of these hearings. Now, as you know, it was a very difficult process last year. It was very comprehensive. And we did make every effort to cooperate with the administration. This year, I certainly want to cooperate with the administration, but I think their requests were unreasonable. When the budget is prepared, they have to review the very information that the Post Audit and Oversight Committee goes over. So to suggest that somehow the administration did not have time to participate in these hearings, I have some difficulty with. So in spite of the refusal, and that's the only way I can characterize it, the refusal of those department heads to even assign a designee to sit in the chambers and review how well each of those departments are doing. And based on my review, most of the departments are doing fairly well to okay. So we had a hearing pursuant to the hearing order on March 26th to look at the Public Works Department. And Mr. President, just heard from two chairpersons who indicated that they were in fact paid the respect of having the head of the Public Works Department attend their hearings during the same week where they say they could not sit in on a hearing of the Public Works Committee looking at the financial operations of that department. And I happen to know and have a great deal of respect for the head of that department. He's actually been very cooperative with my office on many, many issues, so I was a bit surprised and disappointed when he failed to show at this hearing. But I soldiered on anyhow, Mr. President. We went ahead, and I did have the opportunity to review the financial information for that department and the personnel information. I do have a list of contracts for Public Works. So what you have before you, and I'm not going to go through the entire document, I hope you don't mind. What you have before you is the slideshow presentation that I personally prepared in preparation for that particular hearing. And what I would ask you to note, again, I'm not going to go through each item here, but there were several red flags raised, Mr. President, with regards to the financial operation of the Public Works Department. I separated the projected surplus accounts where, based on the trends established in the previous, in this instance, in the case of Public Works, the previous 6 months, to project out what the likely outcome would be if that trend continued into the following half of the year. And you will see that in numerous areas, there are projected deficits, very serious deficits. However, even in those areas where we are projecting deficits, it does indicate that a significant amount of encumbrances were set aside. Now, the question I would have for the administration is that, do these encumbrances represent only the first six months of operation? Or are they, in fact, the amount we can anticipate to be expended in the second half of the year? No one from that department was here to answer that question. And if that department spends at the same rate, you're looking at a $34 million deficit in that account. I don't expect that to happen. But that's just one example of many that this body needs to be concerned about to just ensure that the department is not only accountable to us, but accountable to the people of Boston. So I went through each of those line items. Again, I'm not going to review it here, but what I would say on the personnel side, this department, like so many others, unfortunately, does suffer from underrepresentation of people of color in decision-making positions based on the rate of salary. And on the very last page of this document, looking at the Public Works Department salaries, and unfortunately, the administration has yet to comply with the 17F request concerning personnel transactions during fiscal year 15 and the latter half of fiscal year 14. So we're just stuck with the last information, which is as of December 31st, 2013, which happens to be mid-year of fiscal year 2014, the very last day, effectively, of the Menino administration. Indicated that in terms of DPW salaries, only 12% of those salaries went to people of color for the top 17 positions. Overall, however, the numbers are a little bit closer to reality in terms of makeup of the city of Boston. Overall, 38% of the salaries in the Department of Public Works is allocated to employees of color. We also had a hearing yesterday, Mr. President, yesterday morning, looking at the auditing department. And you have an abbreviated package of information. We looked at, again, the operation of the auditing department between, for fiscal year 15, between July 2014 to December 28th of, February 28th of 2015. And we find that the auditing department is expected to be on target by and large. It'll be a slight, if trends continue, there'll be a slight surplus of $200,000, which I expect to be less at the end of this period of time. My only critical concern has to do with the annual audit cost. This body appropriated $750,000, which is higher than what we've appropriated in the past for auditing. And as of February 28th, that particular account is already in the deficit situation of more than $500,000. Were we to project out, just for the purposes of the stenographer, the projected deficit as of February 28th was $553,000. Now, were those expenditures to continue in encumbrances for the balance of the year, the balance of 4 months, that will grow to a deficit in excess of $1 million for auditing costs. Again, I don't expect that to be the actual amount. And Mr. President, let me conclude by saying that in looking at the personnel accounts for the auditing department, disparities do exist, particularly if you look at the average salaries of the employees in the auditing department. The average salaries of white females is $78,000. Average salaries of white males, $74,000. For Asian females, $55,000. African American females, $65,000. Latino females, $53,000. African American males, $45,000 in the auditing department. So I will conclude by saying that the auditing department is expected to end with a surplus. And as I mentioned, the cost of the audits is something that we have to take a very close look at. It's already overspent by more than $500,000. The auditing department's overall personnel does in fact reflect the demographic makeup of the city of Boston. However, disparities exist in the higher paid positions where people of color are underrepresented and on average have lower salaries than others in that department. That concludes my interim report, Mr. President. If there are any questions about this report, of course, I'm available. I take complete responsibilities for any errors that may exist in this document. On the other hand, I do have a number of 17 F orders, which we will consider as late files, where I ask the question of each of these three department heads: where were you during the course of these properly noticed hearings, and why did you not attend or send a designee? Because if they're going to do this with the Post-Audit and Oversight Committee, and we do nothing about it, then they can treat this body with impunity. And I know that's not what the mayor wants. But I certainly believe that we cannot do our job effectively if we don't have the level of cooperation that's required by the administration. We really do want to work in partnership. I think the mayor is doing a great job with the resources he has and the challenges he has. But I think some of his department heads may be letting him down. Thank you very much, and I'd like these matters to be remanded to committee.
Thank you, Chairman Yancey, for your work to date. Thank you for being aggressive. I mean, you've been extremely aggressive since the appointment that I gave you in this regard. And I know that based on your comments here today, that there's we haven't gotten the information that we need or the presence that we need. So is there something specifically that I could do for you, Mr. Chairman, in that regard? And You know, it's really a matter that we could have offline, but I want to just say that I'm here to assist you in this matter. And if I can go to the mayor or talk to the department heads on your behalf, then please, you know, if there's something I can do, let me know.
Well, I certainly appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. And at this point, I certainly, again, it's my objective is to work in partnership with the administration. It's a very city government is a very complex operation. I'm somewhat familiar with it. I've only lived with this organization since 1984. But I am very concerned if any committee, not just mine, and I would stand and advocate for any one of you, if any one of our committees are treated dismissively or
No, I understand your position. I just want to be able to
I
help and
that.
assist. So could you let me know that?
There's one thing that can be very helpful right now. If we can take the late file out of order and get that passed, or we can wait till we do the 3 late files.
I'd prefer not to do that, but, you know,
Okay.
and if you,
Other than that,
I just want to say that publicly to you, okay?
I appreciate
As
that.
the chairman.
And we will discuss this further offline. Thank you very much,
right.
Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Yancey. And Madam Clerk, could you, the docket 0171 and docket 0199 will remain in the Committee on Post-Audit and Oversight. Could you read dockets 0380 through dockets 0383?
Thank you, Mr. President. Docket number 0380, order for the confirmation of the reappointment of Celia Wislow as a member of the Boston Public Health Commission's Board of Health for a term expiring January 2nd, 2017. Docket number 0381, order for the confirmation of the reappointment of Dr. Paula A. Johnson as a member and chairperson of the Boston Public Health Commission's Board of Health for the remainder of a term expiring January 1st, 2018. Docket number 0382, order for the confirmation of the reappointment of Harold Cox as a member of the Boston Public Health Commission's Board of Health for a term expiring January 1st, 2018. And docket number 0383, order for a confirmation of the reappointment of Dr. Joseph Betancourt as a member of the Boston Public Health Commission's Board of Health for a term expiring January 4th, 2016.
Chair recognizes the Chair of the Committee on Healthy Women, Families, and Communities on dockets 0380 through dockets 0383. Councilor Presley?
Before I give my committee report, in my capacity as the chair of the Committee on Healthy Women, Families, and Communities, since she's still here, I did just want to thank Reverend Laura in the space of public health for all that you do behind the walls, in the sanctuaries, and on many street corners where violence and trauma have met them. I do believe in the power of prayer. And as you said, we are in a state of healing. And so I thank you for the role that you play in the public health and for being here this morning. So I am asking for reconsideration and reappointment of the 7 members that by statute are required to be appointed to the Board of Health for the Boston Public Health Commission. Just by way of background and context, this is a voluntary board. We currently have, 7 very distinguished and esteemed members of the community who have been giving of their time and their talents to this board. The terms are staggered. It is a board that is diverse and reflective of the diversity of the city of Boston. The board meets once a month for 2 hours, except for the month of August. The makeup of the board is comprised of 2 community health center reps, 1 representative for organized labor, 3 at-large members, and 1 ex officio in the CEO of Boston Medical Center. Between the members that are currently being considered for reappointment, there are 7 to 10 years of service and institutional memory in serving on this board, and I do believe that continuity is critically important at a time when the commission is in a period of transition. And so I do urge reappointment of these 7 members. I do have more comprehensive biographical information relative to credentials and background if people need to hear that and are interested, but that is my committee report and my recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Presley. We'll do each a confirmation independently. Councilor Presley moves confirmation of the committee report and passage of docket 0380. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket 0380 is confirmed. Councilor Presley moves confirmation of the committee report and passage of docket 0381. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket 0381 is confirmed. And Councilor Presley moves confirmation of docket of the report and passage of docket 0382. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket 0382 is confirmed. Councilor Presley moves confirmation of the committee report and passage of docket 0383. All in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket 0383 is confirmed. Did I miss one? Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to, for the purposes of the record, sorry to have confused folks. There are 7 members appointed to the board, but we are currently only considering those 4 whom you just voted on: Celia Wislow, Dr. Paula Johnson, Harold Cox, and Dr. Joseph Bencourt, again, because the terms are staggered. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Presley. Madam Clerk?
Docket number 0496, order authorizing the City of Boston to submit to the Massachusetts School Building Authority the statement of interest for the Carter Development Daycare.
Chair recognizes the Chair of the Committee on Ways and Means, Councilor Siomo, on docket 0496.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee on Ways and Means held its hearing yesterday on this statement of interest for the Carter Development Daycare School. Folks might remember in 2012, we applied for similar funding, but the board didn't accept our application at that time. So we are moving forward. The due date for this statement of interest is April 10th, and the anticipated work to be done would entail widening the hallways, renovating classrooms, and installing a therapeutic pool. Currently, we send the children that actually services young people from the age of 12 to 22 years old, and we send them to the therapeutic pool in Canton currently. And because of the way the school is configured, the hallways don't allow for 2 wheelchairs to go side by side. So this is an extremely important renovation for that school. So I move that we pass docket 0496.
Thank you, Councilor Siomo. Councilor Jackson?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. This school is an amazing school. If you've ever gotten to visit the Carter School, they take care and really ensure inclusion for young people who have some of the most severe disease states. They learn. They are actually able to have fun there. And this is just simply a no-brainer to have them traveling outside of the city of Boston and not able to do it on site. I think is sad. I also just would like to give Mayor Walsh and his administration a great deal of credit. We're seeing these Mass School Building Authority requests roll in regularly. So happy to see that Boston is putting ourselves out there to get our fair share of resources. I just remind folks that one penny of each dollar spent in sales tax money actually goes to the School Building Authority. Our city contributes a great deal to that on a regular basis. And I'm, again, very encouraged that this administration is seeing fit to move forward and make sure that we're getting as much as we possibly can out of that fund for the young people of the Boston Public School System. And I will be supporting this.
Thank you, Councilor Jackson. So Councilor Siomo moves acceptance of the committee report and passage of docket 0496. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket 0496 has passed. Madam Clerk, could you read 0550 through 0552?
Thank you, Mr. President. Docket number 0550, order approving an appropriation of $1,700,000 for the purpose of paying costs of a feasibility study and schematic design work associated with the renovation or new construction of a facility for the Joseph Quincy Upper School, Josiah Quincy Upper School. Upon completion of the feasibility study, the City of Boston may be eligible for a grant from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, said amount to be expended under the direction of the Public Facilities Department on behalf of the Boston Public Schools. Docket number 0551, order for approving an appropriation of $1,700,000 for the purpose of paying costs of a feasibility study and schematic design work associated with the renovation or new construction of a facility for the Boston Arts Academy. Upon completion of the feasibility study, the City of Boston may be eligible for a grant from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, said amount to be expended under the direction of the Public Facilities Department on behalf of the Boston Public Schools. And docket number 0552, order amending an appropriation that would raise the amount from $550,000 to $13 million from funds previously held by the Boston Redevelopment Authority on behalf of the city and currently held in the city's capital fund for the purpose of major rehabilitation, renovation, or new construction of the Josiah Quincy Upper School.
Chair recognizes the Chair of the Committee on Ways and Means, Councilor Siomo, on docket
Thank you, Mr.
0550 through 0552.
Thank you, Mr. President. As I said earlier, this hearing was held yesterday with docket 0496. We had testimony provided by Carlton Jones from the School Department Facilities, as well as Brian McLaughlin, Department of Property and Construction Management, Maureen Anderson, Senior Project Manager, Department of Property and Construction Management, as well as Jack Hanlon, Deputy Director of Capital Planning, Office of Budget Management. So to give a little background, so in 2009, we passed an order for a feasibility study to co-locate Josiah Quincy and the Boston Arts Academy on what is known as Parcel 5 near Chinatown and I-95. We spent $4 million on that feasibility study, $3 million of which was reimbursed by the Mass School Building Authority. But as we all know now, we did not go forward because it wasn't deemed feasible. The cost was prohibitive, and we dropped those plans. So now we are separately funding feasibility studies. Just to clarify, because of the co-location study that was done, Josiah Quincy is now not available for reimbursement from the School Building Authority, whereas the Boston Arts Academy is. So that brings me to docket 0552. There's $13 million sitting in a BRA fund, short $550,000 from the sale of Hayward parking lot. It was earmarked for the Josiah Quincy development of school to any construction-related matters to the Josiah Quincy School. We allocated $550,000 back in, I believe, 2009, and subsequent, obviously, we didn't go forward. Now that we are going forward with the feasibility study for the Boston Arts Academy at the current site at the Fenway, that is eligible for reimbursement. Josiah Quincy is not. So the $13 million that we are for the Josiah Quincy and any subsequent renovations or construction, if it is approved further on. So I'm moving today that we accept all three dockets, 0550, 0551, and 0552, to proceed with the feasibility study and any resulting partnerships with the Mass School Building Authority on these locations.
So the $13 million for the Josiah Quincy School will be used for the Josiah Quincy School.
Yeah.
And we're just relieving that, moving that from the BRA to the capital plan and campaign.
Correct.
that the Quincy School is not in position for reimbursement for the feasibility study, does that preclude it from being in position for reimbursement through construction, design, and all of that?
For this 1.7 million.
No, I mean, moving forward.
It will be eligible for any construction-related matters
Okay.
if approved through the building authority.
Thank you for doing
Sure.
that. Thank you very much, and I beg indulgence to the entire council. Rather important. Councilor Yancey.
Thank you very much. Mr. President, I rise to support all three of these items. In the context of Haywood Place, this resulted from a negotiation that took place, I believe it was your predecessor that actually worked on this as well as many of us, where the developer promised to purchase what was then a parking lot and use it and develop a pretty fancy apartment complex, which sits on the site right now. In fact, the site was declared a blighted site, even though across the street there was a $600 million project that was completed. But that's another story. I'm rising, Mr. President, for some obvious reasons. The students at the Josiah Quincy Upper School attending their classes in what used to be the Abraham Lincoln Elementary School that was completed in 1911. They should be in the first-class high school facility. The students at the Boston Arts Academy are taking their classes in a building that was once condemned. It was used as a warehouse and a parking facility, later to be used by the Boston Latin Academy students. And my second son, it's not of any interest of anyone besides you, Mr. President, was born on October 20th, 1972, graduated from the Boston Arts Academy, taking his classes in a building that didn't have a cafeteria, gymnasium, auditorium, building that had been condemned. He did very well. He went on to college, and now he's making double his father's salary. So he's doing okay. However, he succeeded in spite of attending his high school education in a substandard building, substandard by the definition of the Boston Public School Department, not Charles Yancey. Now here we are, we have 14 acres of land already assembled and set aside for the purpose of building a high school, and we've yet to finalize action on it. Hopefully we will fairly soon, Mr. President. I know the administration wants to do something on that as well. So I just make those points to say that, these interim Band-Aid steps that we have to take are necessitated by the fact that we don't even have swing space for these students if they had to be relocated while renovations are taking place. But they deserve what most suburban school children take for granted, a state-of-the-art high school facilities. And even after the renovations, it's doubtful that they will have that. So I'm urging passage of each of these dockets, Mr. President, with the proviso that we still have a long way to go to meet the needs of our high school students in the city of Boston. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Yancey. So we'll do each one of these individually. Councilor Siomo moves acceptance of the committee report and passage of docket 0550. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Docket 0550 has passed. Councilor Siomo moves acceptance of the committee report and passage of docket 0551. All in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket 0551 has passed. And Councilor Siomo moves acceptance of the committee report and passage of docket 0552. All in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket 0552 has passed. Thank you. Councilor Flaherty, your buttons?
Call for a brief recess, Mr. President.
Yeah, sure. Recess.
and gives those kids that one-on-one intervention. It's 30 minutes a day for anywhere from 12 to 20 weeks, and the results simply speak for themselves. 78% of those children who went through the reading recovery program reached their grade level proficiency. 78%. Had those kids not been given the opportunity, had those kids not been given that early intervention, they would have gone either to a different school or, as I said, a substantially separate classroom or some other tract. So this is one of those issues and policies that makes sense and is actually a better investment. It costs money. This has been funded by federal funds for many years. ARA had a number of funds for the last several years to make sure that it was in existence, and it's been fallen short. There's a great state representative from West Roxbury, many of us know and have worked with, State Rep. Ed Coppinger, who has put language for the bill this year that would restore this at the state level. It's about $1.5 million to fully restore it, and I'm hopeful that we can pass this resolution today to address that. Again, this program works. It gives those kids that one-on-one early intervention to help them be brought up to speed and brought up with their peers in terms of reading, and it saves money over the course of time. If you haven't had an opportunity to observe it, I really encourage you guys to go down. It is amazing to see what happens. We met in a classroom, students from a number, there were 2 students when I visited who were receiving the services, and teachers from a number of schools around the city, from the Murphy School, from Orchard Gardens, from the Curley School, from the BTU Academy. And that's just, the tip of the iceberg. Get together once a month, talk about best practices, share, work on professional development, while at the same time working intensively with these kids. It's one of the things that has impressed me most about our Boston Public Schools, and it is a sorely, sorely needed program. This can save and help countless lives, and I'm hopeful that we can make sure and urge the legislature to fully fund this program because the reverberations are too many to count and how it can help these kids, our neighbors, our constituents. So hope you urge you to join me in passing this resolution today, and hopefully we can send another strong message up to Beacon Hill why this is such a necessary and valued program. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor O'Malley. Councilor McCarthy?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I rise to congratulate Councilor O'Malley on this resolution. I, too, have sat in on several reading recovery programs, specifically the Philbrook and the Roosevelt. I think that Councilor O'Malley summed it up really, really well. And I think in a nutshell, when a kid gets behind in school, he's left with the other 18, 20, 22 kids, and he gets further or she gets further and further behind. This is an intervention. It's a lot like PT when you're training for something. If you get hurt, you need PT to get back into the race. And that's what this is. And we've talked about, and Councilor O'Malley mentioned the statistics. Kids who are coming into first and second grades, 1 or even 2 reading levels behind, go through this program, and upwards of 85% of the kids catch up in 1 year of 2 years of reading. It's an incredible program, and I congratulate Councilor O'Malley, and please, I'd like to sign on.
Thank you, Councilor McCarthy. Please add Councilor McCarthy's name, Councilor Baker's name, Councilor Siomo's name, Councilor LaMartina's name, Councilor Murphy's name, Councilor Presley's name, Councilor Wu's, Councilor Zakum's, please add my name, and Councilor Jackson, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Mr. President, a student who drops out of the Boston Public Schools over the course of their lifetime will cost us over $400,000. We speak about the opportunity gap. We speak about the achievement gap on a regular basis. I want to compliment the leadership of Councilor O'Malley. My vice chair on the Education Committee for pushing this. This is how we close the achievement gap. Early, and we know that third grade test scores are very significant. And if we're able to close this reading gap, we know in the first 4 years, you actually learn to read, and then you switch over with reading to learn. And that's why so many young people get left behind. This program, unlike a lot of the things that we kind of speak about, this one is actually a solution. It actually gets us where our young people need to get to. It would be a travesty to see a program like this cut. And we, again, from a financial perspective, need to begin to look at our budgets out of silos. And so in looking at this early intervention program that actually closes the achievement gap, we're able to make sure and ensure young people real success throughout their lives. So I'm really looking forward to supporting this. Please add my name. And again, thank Councilor O'Malley for his leadership, as well as our good friend from West Roxbury, who's up there in that Golden Dome.
Thank you, Councilor Jackson. Madam Clerk, please add Councilor Jackson's name. Councilor Flaherty.
Thank you, Mr. President. Please add my name as well, and just add one additional dimension. For those that, for children who have speech articulation issues, this program has been a safety net for those children, giving them the confidence that they need to keep trying, keep working at it, allowing them to go on to second grade, but also for parents and teachers who identify speech articulation problem early on. This program has been absolutely tremendous in helping keeping them on the right path. So hopefully we'll suspend and adopt, but I want to have my name added.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Please add Councilor Flaherty's name. Councilor O'Malley moves suspension of the rules and passage of docket. You added your name, so I thought that was the purpose. Oh, you want to say, Councilor Yancey, you have the floor.
Okay, I'll be very brief. I rise, of course, to commend our good colleague from District 6, Councilor O'Malley. I'm very, very proud of his efforts in this arena. I believe every child should have books in their homes from the earliest of ages. Blaze probably already has books in his home. One of the reasons we do the annual book fair is to help families do that. And this year, we're going to have our book fair on July 25th at the Reggie Lewis Center to help with those children who hopefully participate in this program, to give them some material to work with and some material to read before they start school. I rise in particular, Mr. President, because I've learned that some students in our school system are not even allowed to take books home. In 2015, I received an email from the Hennigan School asking me, as head of our book fair, to provide books to the students because they cannot take books home. I think that's a travesty, Mr. President, and I believe that when we consider the fiscal year 2016 budget, we make sure that we have a system where children in all classes are available with the opportunity to take books home. Finally, I would like to say that the role of the parents in the education of their children is critical. It certainly was the case when I went through the Boston Public School system from kindergarten to high school, being the first in my family to actually graduate from college. And I was number 6. But if the reading recovery effort does not receive the support necessary to be effective, then we all lose. That's why, Mr. President, I rise and ask that my name be added to this resolution in support of passage today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Yancey. Councilor O'Malley moves suspension of the rules and passage of docket 0622. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket doubt the vote. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Counselor Baker. Counselor Baker, yes. This is on docket number 0622.
Oh, yeah, it's 0622, right? Hold on. For clarification, 0622 is the docket number today. It was the past docket number the week before. So when it was resubmitted, it has a new docket number. You may have received a sheet that has that old number on it, but the number is 0622. All clear? Great. Could you please read the roll?
Counselor Baker, yes. Counselor Siomo. Counselor Siomo, yes. Counselor Flaherty. Counselor Flaherty, yes. Counselor Jackson. Counselor Jackson, yes. Counselor Lamatina. Counselor Lamatina, yes. Counselor Linehan.
Yes.
Counselor Linehan, yes. Counselor McCarthy. Counselor McCarthy, yes. Counselor Murphy. Counselor Murphy, yes. Counselor O'Malley. Counselor O'Malley, yes. Counselor Presley. Counselor Presley, yes. Counselor Wu. Counselor Wu, yes. Counselor Yancey. Counselor Yancey, yes. And Counselor Zachem. Counselor Zachem. We have a unanimous vote on docket number 0622.
Docket 022 has been adopted unanimously. Madam Clerk, 0623, please. You wanted, did you ask for a recess? Okay. Recess.
Yeah, thank you, Mr.
Madam Clerk, personnel orders, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Docket number 0624, Council Linehan offer the following order.
Councilor Murphy moves suspension of the rules and passage of docket 0624. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket 0624 has been passed.
We'll go back. Docket number 0625, Council Linehan.
Councilor Sioma moves suspension of the rules and passage of docket 0625. All in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket 0625 has passed.
Docket number 0626, Council Linehan for Council Flaherty.
Councilor Flaherty moves suspension of the rules and passage of docket 0626. All in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket 0626 has passed. Yes.
Number 0623, Councilor Jackson offered the following order for hearing to review the services and supports to English language learner students in the Boston Public Schools.
Chair recognizes Councilor Jackson on docket 0623.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. As many of you have seen, the Department of Justice has actually weighed in on the Boston Public Schools and how we are currently educating our English language learners, or how we are not currently educating our English language learner. Just some simple stats. Boston is home to approximately 165,000 foreign-born people. This accounts for 27.1% of Boston's population. 47% of Boston Public School students speak a language other than English as their first language. 30% of Boston Public School students are limited English proficiency or English language learners. That's about 17,300 students out of the 57,000 students that we have. Boston Public Schools students come from over 100 countries. Given these numbers, there will always be another set of ELL students who will need specialized instruction and culturally competent instruction to help ELL learners. Understanding English language is a fundamental tool to succeed, and it takes about 5 years for a non-speaking student to become proficient in English. To ensure we give every student a fair chance at success, regardless of who you are, where you come from, or what language you speak, I filed this hearing at the council. The goal of the hearing is to review the federal findings and how Boston Public Schools can actually comply with the standards that the federal government has. And we will also review how Boston Public Schools can implement more thoughtful English language education that allows more cultural competency to ensure we teach everyone English, but also respect the culture each learner brings with them. I think it's absolutely critical that we not only listen to the voices and issues that the federal government is bringing to us, but we listen to the voices of the parents and of the students who are in these classrooms on a day-to-day basis. We have to do right by them. And considering the size of this population, it's absolutely critical for the city of Boston and the Boston Public Schools to step forward with urgency on this issue because they make up literally the future of our workforce in the city of Boston. As goes ELL students in the city of Boston and in the Boston Public Schools will go the future of the city of Boston. We have to dig deep right now and make sure that we correct and put forward a corrective course of action to ensure that the outcomes that these young people deserve are success. And I'll just end with, many of us got to go to the valedictorian lunch. And I know for me, I don't speak for anyone else on the council, the only way that I would go to a valedictorian lunch was as a city councilor because I was not the best student. Most of the students that I met at that lunch were ELL students. And it shows when we do the right thing, when we give the added supports that are needed, young people can not only be proficient, but they can actually exemplify what excellence is in the Boston Public Schools. And that's what it's all about. It's not okay for us to leave 30% of the population behind in classrooms that are sub-separate classrooms. Our goal should be excellence in education for all students, especially our English language learners, which is a growing population in the city of Boston. It is incumbent upon us to have an expedited hearing on this issue to make sure that we change the tide of action and that we provide all of the resources that these young people need. We also have to make sure that we fund it. So a budget's going to come to us, and we need to ask the important question about where the resources are to make sure that we are ensuring success for these young people. I look forward to an expedited hearing on this.
Thank you, Councilor Jackson. Councilor Presley.
Indeed, we should be pushing for an equity in excellence, not just merely proficiency, but excellence. And as the Vice Chair of Education articulated a moment ago, children learn differently, and there is no one-size-fits-all approach. That's never successful, especially when you're talking about policy. And we can't leave these ELL students to ostensibly sink or swim. We want them to thrive. We don't want them to flounder and to fail. And although I appreciate the story that Councilor Jackson shared relative to the valedictorian dinner, we also know that this population is the most vulnerable for dropout. These are many of the students that they've had to, and they've been successful in doing so with investment, to re-engage them in the system because they are the most vulnerable to dropping out. We want to make sure that they have the supportive services that they need. So I want to thank Counselor Jackson, supportive services and instruction they need to excel. So I want to thank Counselor Jackson for his leadership, but also at the state legislature, Senator Chang Diaz and Representative Jeffrey Sanchez for their leadership in this space as well. We mentioned that there are 150 languages spoken within Boston Public Schools, but I also just want to share that 50% of the parents within our Boston Public Schools are foreign born. And just to speak to the interrelated, holistic approach to this that we need to have when a budget is coming, we need to continue to invest in ESOL and adult basic education, because another reason our ELL students are vulnerable is that if they're not getting the supportive services and instruction they need within school, they're also not able to get the support that they need at home, because oftentimes their parents cannot help them in doing their homework. So these things do really go hand in glove. I recently filed a hearing order, and the chair of education expedited the scheduling of that hearing about our special education students, our students receiving special education services and their transitions. And although I don't have their transitions into post-secondary education, into the workforce, into independent living, and we are struggling to be successful as a school district in that regard when it comes to the transitions of our students receiving special education services, and many of them are ELL. So again, there are many overlays and many interrelated policy points here. So again, I rise to commend the maker and ask to have my name added. We really need to consider a diversity of models in meeting the needs of this diverse population. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Presley. Please add Councilor Presley's name for that matter. Councilor LaMartina, Councilor O'Malley, Councilor Wu, Councilor Yancey, Councilor Siomo. I think I have, and Councilor Flaherty. I think I have everybody. And that, please add my name. Docket 06. Oh, and would you like me to add your name, Councilor Murphy? All right. And Councilor McCarthy's name? Did I miss anybody? You want to speak again on the matter? Go ahead.
Mr. President, I too, didn't want to leave out Senator Sonia Chang Diaz, as well as Representative Jeffrey Sanchez, who are doing great work at the State House. So I wanted to stand again and just thank them for the efforts on that level. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Councilor Jack. Docket 0623 is assigned to the Committee on Education. Are we square there? We're gonna, Councilor Siomo?
Docket
Wait, you-
0551.
Your microphone's on now. Go ahead.
Move for reconsideration of docket 0551. It was
Councilor Siomo moves for reconsideration of docket 0551. Councilor Murphy seconds that matter.
Thank you, Mr.
You have the
President. It was just brought to my attention that docket 0551, in actuality, is a loan order. I've distributed the text of the full loan order where it says under the laws of Chapter 44 that the administration will enter into a possible bond action, issue bonds, notes, or certificates of indebtedness. So this will require a roll call vote and a subsequent second vote after it being assigned for further action. Thank you.
Okay. So, Madam Clerk, just for clarification. So we're going to have a vote on to reconsider 0551. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. 0551 will be reconsidered at this time. Madam Clerk, this is a capital matter and a loan order authorization. So you need to read the roll, and you'll be voting on, just so you all know, the $1,700,000 for the purpose of paying cost feasibility study for the Boston Arts Academy. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. President. Docket number 0551, for its first reading. Counselor Baker? Yes. Counselor Baker, yes. Counselor Siomo?
Yes.
Counselor Siomo, yes. Counselor Flaherty? Counselor Flaherty, yes. Counselor Jackson? Counselor Jackson, yes. Counselor Lamatina? Counselor Lamatina, yes. Counselor Linehan?
Yes.
Counselor Linehan, yes. Counselor McCarthy? Counselor McCarthy, yes. Counselor Murphy? Counselor Murphy, yes. Counselor O'Malley? Counselor O'Malley, yes. Counselor Presley? Counselor Presley, yes. Counselor Wu? Counselor Wu, yes. Counselor Yancey? Counselor Yancey, yes. Counselor Zachem? Counselor Zachem, yes. Mr. President, docket number 0551 has received its first reading with a unanimous vote.
Docket 0551 has received its first vote unanimously and will be remanded back to the committee for its second reading. The Committee on Ways and Means. Madam Clerk, there are eight late file matters in the hands of the clerk, which in absence of objection will be added to today's agenda. Hearing no objections, the matters are so added to the agenda. The clerk will read the first addition to the agenda.
From the office of the Mayor, Martin J. Walsh, to the City Council. Dear City Councilors, I transmit herewith for your approval an order authorizing the City of Boston, acting through its Department of Neighborhood Development, to apply for, accept, and expend federal fiscal year 2015 Housing and Community Development funds from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, known as HUD. This order includes the following programs and amounts. 1, Community Development Block Grant, $16,101,121. The second, Home Investment Partnership Program, $3,998,161. Number 3, Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS, $2,715,215. Docket number number 4, Emergency Solution Grants, $1,460,998. I urge you to adopt, and 5 is Continuum of Care, $26 million. I urge you to adopt this order expeditiously so that the city may submit its application to HUD by the May 15th, 2015 deadline.
The first late file matter will be placed in the Committee on Housing. Second late file matter, Madam Clerk.
In the office of the Mayor, Martin J. Walsh, to the City Council. Dear Councilors, I transmit herewith for your approval an order authorizing the City of Boston's Transportation Department to accept and expend $51,760 in the form of a grant from People for Bikes, a nonprofit organization as part of its Better Bike Share Partnership, known as BPSP. The grant funds, to be used over 12 months, will be administered by the Boston Transportation Department for the purpose of supporting the city's Hubway Equity Project, specifically expanding programs to make Hubway membership available to low-income residents. I urge your honorable body to adopt this order as expeditiously as possible so that the City of Boston may accept the funds and expend them for the purpose of which they were granted. Sincerely, Martin J. Walsh, Mayor of Boston.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The second late file matter will be placed in the Committee on Neighborhood Services and Veterans Affairs.
From the office of the Mayor, Martin J. Walsh, to the City Council. Dear City Councilors, I transmit herewith for your approval by your honorable body an order regarding the reappointment of Kathleen Douglas Stone of 12 Lime Street, Boston, as a member of the Boston Water and Sewer Commission for a term ending January 1st, 2018. I am reappointing Ms. Stone pursuant to the authority vested in me by Section 3 of Chapter 436 of the Acts of 1977 and subject to your confirmation. I urge your honorable body to pass this order.
The third late file matter will be placed in the Committee on Neighborhood Services and Veterans Affairs. Madam Clerk, the fourth late file matter. And the fifth, we'll just read the first and last.
From in the City
And the
Council.
sixth. They're all 17F.
Right. Well, 3.
Did you want to, go ahead.
So I'll just read first.
Yeah, just read the order.
The City of Boston, the City Council, 17F order of Councilor Charles Yancey, ordered that under the provisions of 17F of Chapter 376, that on docket 0171, communication was received by the clerk of the filing of the auditing department regarding the City of Boston's fiscal year 2014 comprehensive annual financial report, and docket number 0199, order for a hearing to review the fiscal year 2015 budget. As chair of the Boston City Council's Committee on Post Audit and Oversight, I request the following. You want me to read each of those items, or do you?
Excuse me? Councilor Yancey. He'll speak to all three. Madam Clerk.
Thank you. In the City Council, 17F order of Councilor Charles Yancey, ordered that under the provisions of 17F of Chapter 376 of the Acts of 1951, as chair of docket number 0171, communication was received from the city clerk of the filing by the auditing department regarding the City of Boston's fiscal year 2014 comprehensive annual financial report, and docket number 0199, order for hearing to review fiscal year 2015. As chair of the Boston City Council's Committee on Post Audit and Oversight, I request the following items. The third 17F request, in the City Council 17F order of Councilor Charles C. Yancey, ordered that under the provisions of 17F of Chapter 376 in the Acts of 1951, that in docket number 0171, communication was received from the city clerk of the filing by the auditing department regarding the City of Boston's fiscal year 2014 comprehensive annual financial report, and docket number 0199, order for hearing to review the fiscal year 2015 budget. As chair of the Boston City Council's Committee on Post Audit and Oversight, I request the following.
Councilor Yancey, you have the floor.
Very briefly, Mr. President, you heard the interim report on each of these three departments, the auditing department and the Department of Public Works. And at the previous council meeting, I discussed the interim report for the fire department. Mr. President, this 17F simply requests why the department heads did not attend, and also reinforces the request to comply with several 17F orders which have yet to be responded to. So I'm moving suspension and passage of each of these three items. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Yancey. So we'll do them in the order. Councilor Yancey moves suspension and passage of the fourth late file matter. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The fourth late file matter has passed. Councilor Yancey moves suspension of the rules and passage of the fifth late file matter. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The fifth late file matter has passed. And Councilor Yancey moves suspension of the rules and passage of the sixth late file matter. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The sixth late file matter has passed.
Resolution of Councilor Tito Jackson. Whereas the Arkansas House of Representatives passed House Bill 1228, a Religious Freedom Restoration Act, and the state of Arkansas's governor plans to sign the bill into law, therefore be it resolved that the Boston City Council strongly urges the City of Boston to take action in order to reflect the city's commitment to equity by prohibiting publicly funded travel to the state of Arkansas, which such law remains in effect. Would you like me to read both?
No, we'll do them independently.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Jackson, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'm proud to stand in the state of Massachusetts where you can marry anyone that you want to marry, and we were the first to be able to do that. I'm proud to stand in the city of Boston that had a mayor and Mayor Menino who took on organizations who didn't accommodate the people who we know and love in the city of Boston. We've changed our laws in the city of Boston and the state of Massachusetts, but I believe when we look at the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, a law that essentially allows businesses in the states that we're going to be talking about to discriminate against folks from the LGBTQ community. I don't believe money from the residents of City of Boston should be expended in those states while these laws are on the books. I think it's absolutely critical that not only that the City of Boston step forward in the way that we've stepped forward in the past and actually lead in this space. I think it's incumbent upon us to actually defend the things that we believe. And what we've seen time and time again in efforts in the past, the financial aspects have been the things that have actually moved states to do the right thing. So I think it's incumbent upon us to follow our friends in Denver and Rochester and Washington, D.C. and Seattle and San Francisco and Vermont and New York State, as well as Connecticut, and saying that dollars that are spent from public funds in the city of Boston, from the tax dollars, from the people in the city of Boston, should not go to Arkansas, should not go to Indiana. We do this not only, we're not telling folk in those places what to do, but we are showing people here, as well as everywhere, what we're not going to do. And we're not going to stand idly by and on the sidelines as Boston dollars flow to places that actually essentially codify discrimination. We will not do that. And as a council, again, as we've done time and time again, and I see many folks in this room who've stood courageously on issues that folks might have disagreed with them on. It's up to us to do what we've done so many times. It's up to us to stand and lead here and not follow. And I'm happy to be able to put this forward. And I would hope that we could suspend and pass today both of these resolutions so we can send a very clear message, not only to our friends in the LGBTQ community, but to our children and to the people of the city of Boston about a message about what we believe. And we believe in equity. We believe in public accommodation. And we simply believe in doing the right thing. And I believe that's what this resolution is all about. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Jackson. Councilor Zachem.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank Councilor Jackson for bringing both of these. I know we're reading them separately, but both of these resolutions forward. I share his outrage, and I think the outrage of millions of Americans at the fact that, calling something a Religious Freedom Restoration Act and then using it not as a shield to protect folks in their religious freedoms, but as a way to oppress and discriminate against others, particularly the LGBT community. I look forward to working with Councilor Jackson, my colleagues, the administration, and the community here in Boston to make sure that not only are we sending a strong message to everyone in the country that Boston remains a leader on LGBT equality issues, that we are a welcoming place for everyone, but that, as Councilor Jackson said, we're going to put our money where our mouth is, so to speak, and make sure that we're not supporting commerce in those communities until they realize that in the year 2015 in the United States of America, we need to say we are open for business for everybody who wants to be there. And I just think this is it's troubling to me that in this day and age, we're fighting battles like this that are reminiscent of the civil rights battles of 50 or 60 years ago, in an age when people continue to embrace across this country. And I think the respective governors of Indiana and Arkansas are seeing this firsthand. This is not the way to behave in 2015 in the United States. So thank you, Councilor Jackson, for bringing these resolutions forward. I certainly look forward to voting in the affirmative.
Thank you, Councilor Zachem. Councilor O'Malley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mike Pence, the governor of Indiana, ought to be ashamed of himself. He is legitimizing discrimination And I applaud the author of these two resolutions. My good colleague from District 7 asked that my name be added to both, this one now and the next one when we vote on it. I'm hopeful that the governor of Arkansas will see why the backlash has been so widespread and uniform. And you know, what has impressed me about these bills, these odious bills, has been not only our cities and states, and it's appropriate and necessary for this city to weigh in, but we're also seeing other groups condemn them. NASCAR came out with a statement today saying what's happening in Indiana doesn't represent their values. The NCAA has said the same. The owner of the Indianapolis Colts has said he welcomes all fans. So it is somewhat heartwarming to see people across this great country calling out the governor and the legislators who have put forth these bills. I think it is not only appropriate but necessary for this city council to weigh in as well. Proud to add my name and proud to support these two resolutions today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor O'Malley. Please add Councilor O'Malley's name. Councilor LaMartinez, Councilor McCarthy, Councilor Presley, Councilor Wu, Councilor Zachem. Councilor Yancey, you have the floor.
And our colleague from District 7, Councilor Jackson, I think these two resolutions really do reinforce the values of the people of Boston, certainly the values of the Boston City Council. So I enthusiastically ask that my name be added and remind each of you that 25 years ago, person who was imprisoned for 27 years decided to visit the city of Boston. And it was a very deliberate decision on Nelson Mandela's part. And it resulted from the very active Free South Africa movement that existed and, in fact, was initiated right here in the city of Boston. Boston passed one of the most stringent South African divestment legislation in the United States of America, but was subject to great debate within these chambers. It was not unanimous. But in the final analysis, the majority of our colleagues and previous colleagues did the right thing, because we abhor the idea of discriminating against people because of their gender, their race, their color, their ethnicity, or who they love. So I fully suspect that we're going to have more than a majority of our colleagues signing on to both resolutions. I'll be quite shocked if it's not unanimous for both. And with that, I'd like to have my name added. Thank you very much.
Please add Thank you, Councilor Yancey. Please add Councilor Yancey's name, Councilor Baker, Councilor Sioma, Councilor Flaherty. Please add my name. And Madam Clerk, could you read the next late file matter? And yeah, so we can move on.
In the City Council, resolution of Councilor Tito Jackson. Whereas the state of Indiana recently enacted a law entitled the Religious Freedom Restoration Act to allow individuals and businesses, whether nonprofit or for-profit, to discriminate against lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender persons in public accommodations. Therefore, be it resolved that the Boston City Council strongly urges the City of Boston to take action in order to reflect the city's commitment to equity by prohibiting publicly funded travel to the state of Indiana while such law remains in effect.
So what I was going to do is ask for folks if they would want to sign on to this particular resolution, okay? Because they're two separate resolutions. We'll do two separate votes on them. They will be the 7th and 8th late file matter. So all those who'd like to sign on to this resolution, Councilor Baker, Councilor Sioma, you're the sponsor. But thank you, Councilor Jackson. Councilor LaMartina, Councilor McCarthy, Councilor O'Malley, Councilor Presley, Councilor Wu, Councilor Jackson, Councilor Zachem, and please add my name to the 8th late file matter. So we're going to move. on this matter. Did you want to speak on this, Councilor Jackson?
Yes, please. Mr. President, this one is actually directed at Indiana. And again, sadly, this wave of lack of accommodation and this wave of taking away rights rather than adding them is sweeping from state to state. Again, I think it's absolutely critical that the city of Boston continue to lead here, and that we simply do the right thing, and also just send a very strong message about what we believe, and stand up for what we believe. And we know that a budget and expenditures, in particular of public dollars, are a statement of our values, and that is why we put this forward. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
All right, we're going to suspend the rules and pass and adoption of the resolution, which is the 7th late file matter. This is the matter on the Arkansas House of Representatives. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 7th late file matter has passed. This is the 8th late file matter, and this is regarding the resolution. I would say the 7th late file matter has been adopted. Sorry, Madam Clerk. This is the 8th late file matter, and regarding the state of Indiana and the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. So, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 8th late file matter has passed. Thank you. Anybody wishing to remove a matter from the green sheets? Okay, let me get rid of that. There are 10 late file matters, which, in absence of objection, will be added to the consent agenda. Seeing, hearing no objections, the matters are so added. The chair moves adoption of the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The consent agenda has been adopted. Now, Councilor O'Malley, you have the floor. For what purpose do you rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to make a brief statement.
Any objections? No objections? You have the floor.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank all of you, my colleagues and my friends, for the enormous support that you've shown me and my family over this past week. Your staff, central staff, the clerk, the assistant clerk, the mayor's office. It was absolutely devastating to lose my sister, Jill O'Malley Conroy, from cancer. And she was, as I've said countless times, she was just an amazing woman and a true Bostonian. She was the athlete in the family and excelled in Parkway Little League. And in those days, which weren't that long ago, she couldn't go into the majors. So when her career ended as a player, she went on to be a coach and, particularly mentored young girls who were playing. She loved Boston Latin School, as her kid brother does and did, and was just an extremely popular and wonderful student there. And she had a particular focus on education. She was a teacher. In the BPS, she taught at the Condon School in South Boston and the Higginson Lewis School in Roxbury, and she taught for Dubai. Taught in the United Arab Emirates in Dubai last year. And public education was a passion of hers. Fighting certain aspects of corporate ed reform, something she felt very, very strongly about. She was a consumer as well. Her 3 boys are currently students at the Roosevelt School in Councilor McCarthy's district. And she was just an incredible woman. I know some of you met her, and just you guys were incredibly gracious to me and my family, and I really appreciate it. This can be a hard job. It can be a great job, one that I wake up every day lucky that I have and love doing. But there are times when votes or elections or issues can be tough on us, and it's your family that always stands with you. And I think of when I won this seat, we did pretty well, and we won almost every precinct except my opponent's home precinct, where we sent my sister Jill because she could convince anybody of anything. And she came home to the house that night when we were getting the results. We knew we had won, and she had just seen the numbers where she was at the precinct and thought I lost and gave me the biggest hug, and she was so proud of me. And I said, I'm so excited. And she said, why are you excited you lost? And I said, no, we actually won, but it was just that moment where she was so proud. It didn't matter if I won or lost. She was just proud of her baby brother. And, I've loved getting to meet your families and your spouses and kids and parents and siblings, and just eternally grateful to all of you and your staffs for the support and the kindness you've shown my family. So thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you for that, Councilor O'Malley. I'd ask all guests and all members to please rise as the council prepares to adjourn today's meeting in the memory of the following individuals. For Councilor Baker, M. Patricia Flanagan. For Councilor Siomo, John F. Robinson, Cora Tenaglia, Nancy A. Walker. For Councilor Lamartina, Fred Ruggiero. For Councilor O'Malley, Sam Sherwood. For Councilors Murphy and McCarthy, Mary Consalvo. For Councilor Murphy and Lamartina, Diane Albano. For Councilor Murphy, John Joe Summers. And for Councilor Flaherty and the Chair, Alice V. Connolly, William J. Cook Sr., Robert B. Flynn, and Kevin Meyer. And for Councilor Yancey, Pedro Camacho, and the Reverend Martin Luther King, Jr. A moment of silence, please. Thank you. The chair moves that when the council adjourns today, it does so in memory of the aforementioned individuals. It is scheduled to meet again on Wednesday, April 8th at 12 noon. All those in favor of adjournment say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The council is so adjourned.